Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and the name of this program is Let's Live with Thurman Greco, and it's coming to you from scenic downtown Woodstock, Channel 23, and also on YouTube. And we are having a wonderful send-off. We are beginning the campaign season, the 2025 campaign season in Woodstock, New York. And I have to tell you, it is unique. You have not lived until you have experienced a campaign season in Woodstock. And I am having my first interview with Anula Courtis. And if you go back through some of the other programs, both on YouTube and through the Woodstock TV channel, you've been on 2 or 3 times already, haven't you?
I think so. I think actually 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there is some history there, and I think that's very important because suddenly when a person is running for office, history becomes unavailable for some people because you're reinventing yourself. So I think it's important for you're willing to face up that you were here. So Anula, will you start off, introduce yourself, and tell us what office you hold now and what office you're running for?
Sure. So my name is Anula Courtis, and I am currently a town board member. I'm a council member. I've been on the town board for 13 months. I'm in my 14th month actually. And I am asking the people of Woodstock to help me expand my responsibilities. So I am running for town supervisor of Woodstock.
Go girl! I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Listen, we need a female. It's time. And so what motivated you to do that? Why are you asking the town to give you more work?
I actually like the work a lot. So the work can be very complicated. There are issues that our town is facing that have been issues for a very long time in some cases, and some are newer issues. But what I really love is that I'm able to work with people, sit down with them, hear their sincere thoughts and point of view and how matters affect them, and then put my creative problem solving experience to use and work with them to sort through it and put those things in front of the town board for a vote or a resolution or whatever the right scenario is. And I feel that you doing this job, if you keep in mind that this is about helping people have a better life, a better experience, solve whatever that problem is, it's actually very rewarding, and it's directly rewarding. And even if there are times where, somebody might want something and they only get half of that, but it's half more than what was there before, and that makes everything better, right? And then we can always revisit that later, but at least there's an improvement. So I like that direct experience. I've met some of the most wonderful people, and it's a job that gives me energy. It doesn't take the energy away, it gives me energy. So I'm actually putting a lot of time in learning the job and learning as much as I possibly can.
What are some of the things that stand out in your memory about the events of the last year?
Particular to Woodstock?
Yeah, and the town, for you, that stand out in your life.
Yeah, so right out of the gate, there's no actual rule book on how you can solve a problem, which is awesome if you can creatively problem solve. So one of the first things that I jumped into with 2 feet is our volunteer firefighters and rescue volunteers. I worked with one of the fire commissioners to help get a 10% property tax reduction for those folks who put a lot of time in to help us in our most desperate time of need. So that was something that took a little bit of time navigating back and forth. There were multiple versions of documents that were all very confusing. We were able to cut through the red tape and get one clean version. And I'm proud of that for a multitude of reasons. One, I used to be an EMT a long time ago, and I volunteered my time, so I know what it's like to do that work and to, in the middle of the night, respond to somebody who's injured, and you don't get paid for it. So it's nice to be able to work on something that recognizes that for people. But two is we need volunteers. Like, we actually need more volunteers. So anybody who's listening to this, if you have a desire to serve Woodstock in this capacity, and they offer wonderful training to people who will then work with us. So I wanted to be part of that. And three was I could just be creative in saying, all right, this is something where you're going to get this immediately. Like, why wait 3 years? Like, one version of the document said that they had to work and wait for things like 2 or 3 years before they would get this benefit. No, now, right? You put in all these hours and you're helping so many people day and night, literally. So you get this benefit right now. And I feel like I formed good friendships and I built trust right out of the gate with that. And one of the best things is that when we voted to pass that, those volunteers were there and they had, like, they showed up, and it made me feel proud to work on that, really. It was a good out of the gate experience.
And so, as an aside, are you involved in the fire department at all now?
I'm not, but I've been considering it because, hey, we've got a 10% property tax break, and I've been thinking about dusting off my EMT training, which I think would help across the board just to have more folks trained as EMTs. So in all seriousness, it's been something that I've been considering revisiting.
And do you know if are the members of the town board, is there any effort being made to recruit more volunteers for the fire department?
I don't think that the town board is involved in any recruitment efforts. My hope, and I know that we did get some more volunteers. I don't know that it was a direct result of this work. I can't say that, but I do know that some new folks have signed up for it, and some women are now participating, which is amazing. And I hope that, like, even this will help people to be aware of the benefit, but also the opportunity to help your neighbor when they most need help.
That's the thing. One of the pluses, I think, about Woodstock is the size of our community. It's small enough that if you decide to get involved in the community, you're not going to be wasting your time.
No.
You're going to be making a contribution. You're going to be doing something, and you're going to feel like, okay, I did something. And you get into a larger town and you can get lost. Yeah. And you get into a smaller town and there's not enough opportunity.
Yeah. So
Woodstock offers, because of its size, a lot.
Yes.
And so that the discussion that we just had about the firehouse is just an aside. But so what are some other things that you have done this year as on the town board?
There's a list. So so one of the things that I'll bring up, and I've got 4 or 5, but one of them that comes to mind is, in the beginning, the short-term rental fees increased very dramatically across the board, whether people lived here or they didn't live here. And a group of citizens approached me, and they honestly wanted to work with me to sit down and say, look, we're elders, we depend on this money, We don't have separate structures, and, you know, like, we rent to the same people who are artists, and we love having that company, you know, for a few weeks a year, and that small income helps us to stay here. And so, you know, in the beginning, I had to kind of sort through, oh boy, is this true? Is it not true? You know, everybody wants everything to be, you know, you kind of have to sort through what's true and not. And they were sincere, and I believed them. And so we worked together to come up with something more tiered that, well, two things. One is, I drafted the resolution and got passed that they could split their very large payment into 4 payments, you know, where before they were paying one very small fee, now it's like hundreds of dollars more. They wanted to have the chance to spread it out quarterly, and that was something that I worked on out of the gate. And then that gave us time to sit down and go back and forth and look at, well, what's fair for those people who actually have a room in their home versus people who don't live here. And so we structured something that is lower cost. The fee is lower for people who live here day to day. And people who don't, they're going to pay a little bit more base fee plus, you know, for every bedroom. And so that the intention is that that would offset the discount that we give to our residents. So
did you run into any flack on that?
Oh, a lot. So
what was the complaint?
Yeah, so the complaints were many, and they centered around some people felt that we shouldn't have any short-term rentals, but that wasn't my job. There's a short-term rental committee, and they are working on that. But we're talking about people who have a legitimate you know, ability to rent. And so, you know, are we going to treat people who live here the same as people who profit from here? And so that was my approach. And then there were other folks who felt that they just, regardless of, you know, maybe having bigger short-term rentals and, you know, making a lot of money, which fine, right? But they wanted the fee to stay the same. So I got pressure from everywhere, and it was a good lesson in staying the course. If you believe in something and you made a commitment to work with people, see it through. Don't give up because that public pressure comes in. And at one point there was a threat of a lawsuit. And
who was going to sue who?
So there was a group of short-term rental owners who wanted to sue, I guess, the town, and you know, that could have stopped all progress. Were
they people who lived in the community, or were they part of the elders that lived in the homes?
They wouldn't sit down and talk. They came with, you know, so
you don't know.
I don't know, and I don't want to speculate.
Right.
You know, and I understand. I actually do understand. They were upset because we didn't communicate. Right, so that was, I think, if we forget about everything else, the thing that I walked away with was we have to communicate better. So when I proposed the new fees, I presented that to the town board, and I asked the public to take 2 weeks to get back to me. So I wanted to incorporate the feedback that came right out of the gate in January, and demonstrate to people that I'm listening and I'm going to sit at this table and act on it, right? And people did. People really, they sent me emails and they said, I like this, I don't like this. And we made a tweak or two, and it got passed. So it was an interesting experience. Yeah.
One of the things that I have observed as a resident in Woodstock, and I am in Woodstock, I'm not out in, you know, up in the hills or out in Lake Hill or whatever, I'm in Woodstock, is the short-term rentals that are owned by people who do not live here, sit empty in the community a good bit of the time.
Yeah.
And they're just vacant. They're just there.
Right.
And if you are an owner of a short-term rental and you stay in that house, then someone is there.
Yes.
And when a house is not lived in for a while, it deteriorates.
That's correct.
Did anybody consider that at all?
I know that the short-term rental committee is looking at that because those homes that are sitting empty could be used to house people, right? So they're looking at ways to figure out what's right and how to appeal to people to consider working with the town to help. I mean, we've got Home Share Woodstock, and that is a good program. If your home is empty, why not get in the program? You're helping somebody, you are making some money, that might be a good option. So how to engage people who own property here and don't live here. More to come.
Yes. Well, that is really something to consider, because short-term rentals, Airbnbs, VRBOs, they are a point in time.
Yeah.
And we don't know how long that's going to last.
Right.
And then we may have abandoned homes. I don't know if anybody has even considered that at all.
Right. I think that we are considering that, and I know the housing committee, they're doing a lot of work to figure out how to build housing, where to build housing, what they're going to propose. They're going through that process right now. I looked at some proposals with them, and the work is starting. I feel like things that maybe we talked about for a little bit, you always get those people who say, well, how come this is not happening right now? Well, it's a big thing that is now moving. We've got good people who laid the foundation. Some of them retired from that housing committee, but there are other good people who are just quietly working, and they need time to do their work. It's a big deal. You can't just throw things on the table and kind of argue it and debate it, and it goes nowhere.
Right.
There are people actually working. So when it gets to the table, we have a strong likelihood of getting that buy-in. And I know they're going to be reaching out for public input. And
for success, yeah.
Right?
Success is on the horizon.
Yeah.
What are some other issues that you're looking at?
Ooh, should I go controversial or fun?
However, how about, fun? That sounds
Fun.
good.
So I chair a bear task force, and this is not necessarily an issue, but it was a fun opportunity to figure out how our little task force was going to save bears from getting killed. Because people feed bears, and then bears want to break into your home, and then they get euthanized, is the nicest word that we could use. And so we went to a couple of schools and we read a book to the kids. And then we came up with the idea that we would have a community art contest for these kids to draw their idea about how to communicate why we shouldn't feed bears. And so what our bear task force did was we went to the Rotary here in Woodstock, and we went to WHAM, the Artists Association, and we went to the library, and we got all this community buy-in, and we held an art show for the kids at WHAM. So they came in and they were, it was such a beautiful event for young artists. This town, we are an artist community, and these young people, you should have seen their eyeballs. They couldn't believe their artwork was up there. So it was really beautiful to see them, their parents, teachers, our community come out and support them. And I think upwards of 50 kids submitted their artwork, and we picked first place, second place, and an honorable mention. So that was just fantastic, a lot of fun. And the Rotary is actually going to pay for the top 2 winners to get, we're gonna print their artwork and we're going to put it all over the town offices. So the education and outreach and the encouragement of young artists will continue. And so that was something that we're very happy to do. We're also working on legislation that I'm drafting, and I'll be working with the supervisor to clean it up and put before the town board for vote, where we just can't feed the bears, and we've got to secure our garbage, because nobody wants a dead bear because you left your trash can open. And I think that'll help to reinforce the education that we're going out and providing.
That is a very important thing. I used to, somebody used to come and haul away the trash at my house. And I went out, I heard a noise, and I opened my kitchen door, and there, sitting on the banks of the Tannery Brook, was this mother bear. And she had these cubs, and each cub had one of my trash bags.
Oh, wow.
One of my garbage
They were
ones.
sharing the load.
Each one was having a meal. It was like, here, you take this one, you take that one. And so I realized that what I thought I was doing that was okay was not okay. And I just started going to the Socrates transfer station, and that way they're open, all the time, and you can just go out there, and that way I don't have it at the house anymore. But that is a real situation, and we need the bears.
Yes.
We need the deer. We need it all.
Yeah.
Because after all, this is their land.
Yes.
And we are the ones who have come lately. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
So what else have we got on your agenda, my dear? You have a fun job so far. You've got the firehouse, which is really neat.
Yeah, so that was
Hopefully you can
great.
get more volunteers, and now you've got the bears, and what else is coming around?
Well,
And you've got the VRBO and the Airbnb.
the SDRs.
So we've covered 3 things.
Oh yeah, so several other things. There's I am chairing a new police reimagination task force, which is very exciting. There's not a lot to say at this moment in time, except that I'm excited to work with people on that task force and to look at Woodstock and our police department and what does this mean for us, right? But everybody brings a very unique perspective, and we're going to be meeting weekly to take this job very seriously and to figure that out and to put that proposal forward for adoption. So that's something that is going to take a bit of time.
Well, the situation, I think, with Woodstock is that we've got several different layers of police.
Yeah.
And they all do different things.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say, well, but the cops don't do anything, we just mean nothing is happening here. But there's all this other stuff over here.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of police activity.
There is. There really is. We get, on the town board, we get the activity of the police department, and it's a long list. It's a very long list. Everything from a call that somebody's not feeling well and they show up to, all kinds of other things. So, yeah, I think our police force works very hard. I think there's some things that we can do a lot better. I think there are things that we can make a lot clearer, and I'm confident that the task force will be able to make practical recommendations that make sense to support the police force and as well us residents.
Is anybody making any recommendations about the traffic?
We haven't gotten there yet. We had one meeting, and we're just gonna meet every single week until we get this job done. So yeah, I bet that's gonna come up.
Yes. Yeah. The traffic is a big deal.
Yeah.
And that is a complaint that I have been hearing consistently for years.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been hearing from residents as well as tourists. And back when, because I live on Tannery Brook, and back, I guess before the pandemic, I was more able to walk. We have no sidewalk, so I was able to walk on the edge of that road better now. That doesn't happen now. It's just, I'm not ready for suicide yet. But in any event, the tourists will come up to me and say things.
Wow.
I hear things all the
traffic.
time. And a common one is, a very loud version of "Where's the sidewalk?" Well, there is no sidewalk. There's not going to be any sidewalk. There's no easement for the sidewalk. What are you going to do? Put it upward? It's.
Yeah.
But and I just tell them all, don't talk to me about it. I don't wear a uniform. You can't say anything to me about it.
Wow.
And then of course the bathrooms.
What about the bathrooms?
There are no bathrooms now in Woodstock.
They close them. So there's the town hall.
There's the town hall.
Right. And those bathrooms, I heard, reopened. I don't know if they actually are. To look into that. Yeah.
And then there's the public bathrooms.
Yeah.
Right. And I think they open in April.
Oh, okay.
And I haven't tried to use one of those bathrooms recently. I'm talking about the ones on Rock City Road.
Right. Yeah.
I have not tried to use that bathroom in several years, but 7 or 8 years ago, I can tell you the bathrooms were clean.
Yes.
That was really nice.
Yes.
But wow. So is that going to come under the purview of the police as well?
I think that sidewalks will be the purview of, we have Complete Streets, and they are doing a great job looking at sidewalks, safety, parking. Sometimes people will park very close to where you might need to come down a street and make a left onto Tinker Street, and it's hazardous. It's really hazardous. So they are looking at all of those types of safety things.
Well, now, is this something that the town board does?
The town board doesn't. However, town board members can work on or get updated from and by these task forces and committees and commissions. And so there is an actual Complete Streets committee, and they're doing that job. And I think that moving forward, that's going to be really important because it is a safety issue, not just walking, but literally driving. I mean, I will not make a left on the weekend. I will not make a left onto Tinker Street, no matter which road I'm coming down. I will just go, but it's a little hazardous. I will take the long way around and pull into a parking lot and come back out the other way.
So this is not something that would be on your list as for running for office?
It actually is from a safety perspective. So one of the things that I am interested in is working with Complete Streets to make sure that it's a little complicated because some things we can do, but other things like the state would have to step in and put certain signs or paint certain things, and there are all these requirements. So,
and we've got a lot of streets in Woodstock that we think are streets, but they're county streets.
Yes, exactly.
And so, the tourists may be complaining about this particular street, but that's not a Woodstock street.
Right. It could be it's a state road. I mean, so those are the challenges, and that is actually something that is part of my platform moving forward. So
really?
I do, because I mean, you hear, not here, but you hear about people now getting run over.
Yes.
And, when you look at why, it's not safe to walk.
Right.
So I don't want that to happen here. And we have people who speed, especially when they get past the post office, they, in one direction or the other, they get out of what they think is the center of town, and then boom. And if they're hitting animals, I worry that it could be a kid or a person, or, we've got people who have to walk a very long way from where they live into town. They don't drive, and it's frightening. So I think it's important that we look at it.
Very good. So that's one of the things that you're going to be talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, what are some other things on your list, Anula?
Well, housing's on my list, and really, I think just communication. So that's a big one. That's like, I don't like when people use the word transparency, because it's like the catch-all word that ultimately means nothing to most people. And yeah, everybody wants that, but we all might have our own definition of it. So one of the things that I think that we can do better, and something that I've been doing a lot of thinking about, how do we do this better? How do we communicate more to people what things are in progress? So people only see what comes to the table for a vote.
Right.
They don't, and nobody has time to go to every meeting. So, how do you communicate to people what's important, where we're at, where Complete Streets, we were just talking about them and safety, like what is their work, what are their recommendations, and I view it as a multiple response solution. So one is we have to update our website. We, in my opinion, have to give some of these boards and committees more of a chance to provide their updates. We want to see their meetings, but also, like, they have other things that happen in between those meetings, and sometimes you can't hear the meetings, or the sound is bad. So give people the space to communicate easier. I think that's really important. And we can go through checks and balances and make sure that things look good, but there's technology out there to do this, and I'm looking into that now. I don't know that that's in a current budget, given this is something that could be town-wide, but I think that's a part of it. I think that every week we should have, like, what's happened. What did a police officer saved somebody out of a burning building. Do we really have to wait a year to acknowledge that officer? I don't understand why, right? But at the same time, we might have bad news to share, right? So I think that good, bad, or indifferent, that consistent sharing of information is really important, so people feel more included. It's probably one of the biggest things that I hear, and as I watch, a handful of people online, and they've got a story and they repeat it and repeat it. Like, we ought to be a source of truth here. Again, whether it's good news, bad news, or something that, is just, I don't know. So I would like to make that a part of my platform as well. A commitment that that's something that would happen. I did one town hall as a council person. It took an extraordinary, like a very large amount of effort and some cost to put that together. Buying a projector, buying the screen, so I think we can consolidate some of those things and then make it easier to do that more frequently, so it's not such a heavy, exhausting lift. It was a very good town hall, and it was on a very important topic, water and chemicals in the water, and it's just, how do we make those things easier so we can hold them more frequently? I think that's important.
Well, honesty is huge. I don't think. I mean, I've been doing this show since 2005 or 2004, mm-hmm. and I never heard that word yet. So that's huge. Yeah. That is major.
Yeah.
I do know that there is something, now this is my age. If I were young, I wouldn't be saying this. But this town has had, in the recent past, people who, for whatever reason, were committed to going to every meeting that was ever held in Woodstock.
Yes.
And you know, when you have, if you only have like 3 or 4 people that are doing that, you've got an amazing resource.
Agree.
And one of the first people that I met in Woodstock when I moved to Woodstock, the first year I lived in Woodstock, I went to all the meetings.
Wow.
I mean, I did. I wanted to find out what was happening. And that had an upside and a downside, because I ended up at the Woodstock Democratic Committee meetings, which was interesting in itself. But I met a person, the first person I actually met in Woodstock told me her name, and of course, it's long since forgotten. But she said, I go to every meeting.
Wow.
I am a source of the community memory.
Wow, that's terrific.
And how can we, is that something that we would want to encourage?
We have. I know there's one woman who does. I believe she still goes to every single meeting. She just does it of her own free will.
Yeah.
And so how to sit down, and I don't know if that's something that needs to be more formalized, or to provide, like, how do we turn that into something that is more collaborative with the town? Is that a volunteer position? Is it using certain equipment that will make it such that we can share?
She was a busybody old lady who didn't miss one thing. But you need more than one now.
Yeah, I know.
There is so much going on.
Yeah, there really is.
How can you keep up? One person cannot keep up.
That's correct.
But if you divide it up, okay, you've got this group,
right,
and I've got this group, and somebody else has got that group,
right, Right.
So that's something.
Yeah.
Well, what else have you got going, girl?
I made a whole list of all these things. Well, the town hall, that was very interesting. That's a very challenging discussion in Woodstock. Water. We all care about the environment. Obviously, we care about the water. And so what I wanted to do was to bring together experts to talk to people. I didn't talk. I facilitated a table of experts from the state and from the county who work with water. And I don't remember how many questions. It was a lot of questions, like upwards of 50 questions asked and answered. And so many people felt empowered with this baseline information about what these things are that could be in our water, because they were hearing all these things that scared them. And I realized that we're going to have a panic situation, and people, they don't understand what it is. It's complicated, but those folks, they broke it down. They were really good communicators. The Land Conservancy participated, and they helped to explain certain things. And I'd like to see more of that. I think that we as a town could do more educational forums like that, town hall. And I called it a town hall. That was even an argument. Well, it's not really a town hall because I have to write my questions. I couldn't voice them. But that kind of a setting, whatever we might agree to call it, a way to have questions answered, and to have experts participate. I'd like to see more of that.
Okay, now Anula, this is very early in the game right now, but you want to have more informational town halls or whatever.
Yeah.
You also talked about, what are some other things that you've talked about a couple of other things. The police. And then what else have you talked about?
Yeah, so my conversations continue with fire. I want to know what they need from us moving forward.
You have already discussed fire.
Yeah.
So now we've got 3 things. What else have we got?
So currently also in play, we've got housing.
Yes,
and
we've talked about that.
Big. We're going to have zoning coming down the pipeline. I don't know when. I can't control when that comes down, but that's there. And we have the police reimagination, which we don't know where that's going to go. We've got the noise task force, and that's being revived again. So the balance of music, what days, what times, how loud, versus people having, quiet. So that is all coming back up. That's a small sampling of what is currently moving behind the scenes, so to speak, that, again, people may or may not see some of this bubbling forward, but it is. And so that's why I feel like people will say, well, nothing's happening with ABC. Well, it is. It really is. So how can we do better to communicate that to people so they feel part of it?
So how can we? Is that something you're going to be working on?
Yeah, I think so. I think that as supervisor, you have more resources to help to split that up, right? So it could be somebody's half-time job, right? To actually go through and figure out what were the major things that are happening and are going to happen, and just get it out to people. Like, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but we need to be able to talk about that and to get people to understand the town board, certain members on the town board are working on these things. And there's a long list,
And when does it become too much?
Well, that's a good question. I can't answer that at this time. I don't know. So,
Well, I don't think it does become too much as long as you can have a committee and you can get it parceled out.
It's a good point. If we have a strong town board, there are 5 people sitting there, supervisor and 4 council people. If every council person and the supervisor roll up their sleeves and work together, we can handle a lot. The reason is because Woodstock has great volunteers who are passionate, and they get frustrated that their ideas and years of work, it's not moving forward. And then they don't understand why. And so I think this election is an opportunity to have a healthy town board and a supervisor who can help to work with everybody in a way that we get things done and we communicate and we work together. So that's my opinion. It's a big race. I think it's an important one. It's not good to have 2 or 3 members out of 5 work and have everything on them. And it's an opportunity for Woodstock to decide.
So what are they going to decide?
Well, there are 2 town board seats that are open, and there's a supervisor seat that's opening. And that's 3 positions.
And so we have 2 town board members that are retiring or moving,
we don't know.
Whatever.
We don't know if they're going to run for their seats.
Okay.
There's been no communication about that.
It's too early. They haven't decided yet.
It's too early, though the petitions are coming up toward the end of February. So
in a couple of weeks, we'll know.
Yes. So we will know. But there are 3 other people who are interested in talking to the voters to hire them for those 2 seats. So as of now, we have 3 people going for those 2 seats. And so it'll be good for people to start to get to know who's running and what they've done, who they are, and see who they trust. Yeah.
Do you interact a lot with new people?
Yes.
How do they figure out trust? That's a hugest, drop the bomb right in the middle of the room, you know? Because how do you know if you're going to vote for 2 of 3 people and you're here maybe on the weekends and you've been here for 3 years or something? How do you pick them out?
I think that one is talking with people, listening to people, and then do what you say you're going to do. And it might be boring, and you may agree or not agree, but I think that people look for someone to have integrity in what they're doing. So if I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. And you will see me do that in the best way possible, sometimes given hurdles that are, very, very big hurdles, but I will still work with you to do that. And I think that's how trust is built. Steady, consistent, get the job done, and just don't give up. Don't give up.
Well, one of the nice things for you is that you're young, so you have energy. But the other thing is that you have been here now for a year, so you have a recent track record.
Yes.
And the things that you're going to be talking about for your work history are still enough in the present time,
Yes.
to where you cannot remake them
Right.
without getting caught.
That's correct. And there's always it's not enough, you didn't do this thing that I care about. But you're right, I do have a track record right out of the gate. Many things in play that are time consuming, and those things are moving, and as well things that are accomplished. We did it, and we can check that off our list for right now. And it's just that's how it is.
Can you put together a list where you check off things that you have done?
Yeah, so I started to do that. I started to, a resident said, talk to us. Like when we talk, like they feel happy and they enjoy it and they're like, oh, that's good to know. And then they have input. So somebody had recommended that I send out, weekly, every week and a half with some consistency. Hey, this is what I'm working on. This is what's going on. And so I did start that. So this weekend I'll have my second letter out. And I just explain like some of what I'm working on, what I'm participating, why. A resident brought this great company, that will help us be more transparent, get highway work orders out, so the public could interact, this notification system. So just talking to people that way, that is something that I am doing now. And what I want to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to share it more widely going forward.
So, and how do we get that information? How do we find it?
So right now it's on Facebook, and you can find me very simply, Anula Courtis, so ANULA COURTIS, elected office, and you'll find me there. And going forward, I will be submitting those versions to the newspaper as well, because not everybody's on Facebook, although many people are. I don't go out to the groups a lot of times. There's like, a lot of there's like organized themes there that are just meant to be very negative. And so I tend not to engage with that. So I try to have a nice, clean platform, and I always have an open door. That's the other thing that I think is really important. My style in office is, please do not ever hesitate to call me or email me, and I will respond to you, and I will meet you for that cup of coffee or tea, and I will talk with you on the phone, no matter what your issue is, concern is, idea. And I've done that. I'm in my 14th month here. That every month I'm talking to somebody, because people feel that I am approachable, and I welcome that.
Well, if you were to have a wish list, do you have a wish list?
Yeah, I have several.
Oh, really? Well, hey, let's talk wish list.
Yeah. Well, my wish list includes up to and including my puppies, but
Oh, you have puppies?
I do. So,
well, hey, let's take a couple minutes out. Tell me about the puppies.
All right, okay. So, I have my one, Jenna Balto. She is a rescue from Texas. The organization out there, Three Little Pitties, they do a fantastic job. And so Jenna has been in Woodstock Christmas, 2 days before Christmas was 1 year. So she's a year and a half, and she's absolutely wonderful. And she's a little bit of a Woodstock superstar online. So people see her videos and they really, she makes us happy. She's just got those eyes and she's just that dog. And a few months ago, I got my second puppy, Ezra, and he's from Texas as well, same organization. He came out of a terrible situation, just absolutely terrible. And he is a beautiful, thriving, gorgeous little boy who will charm you with his baby blue eyes. and the two of them love each other. She's black, he's not. They're adorable, and they really make me very happy. They also get along with the two cats in the house, which is awesome.
And where did the cats come from?
They were rescues. So my cat Xena was a rescue from, goodness, I keep saying she's 17, but she's got to be like 20 at this time. But I stopped at 17. Anyway, her person went to hospice and never came back. So she came out of a bad situation, and a friend actually rescued her. And then Bowie adopted me when I moved to Woodstock. So he just kept coming to the house, and I named him Bowie. And so, yeah.
So you have two dogs, and the two dogs came from a rescue in Texas.
Yes.
How did they get here?
They drive them here. So this rescue will actually drive them. They get all their shots. They get, spayed or neutered, the whole 9 yards, microchipped, everything A to Z. And then they are transported, and it's actually a big deal. The whole transport is filmed live. You actually see every dog and cat getting onto the van or the bigger bus, and they do such a beautiful job of engaging the future pet parents. And they just, it's, that area has some of the cruelest cases of animal abuse, very cruel, and they do great work. So yeah, every 3 weeks they go to the West Coast and the East Coast. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, amazing people. They don't sleep. They barely sleep. You can imagine, they're taking care of these animals.
Right.
It takes 2 days to get to New York.
Right, and one is driving and one is sleeping.
That's right.
Or taking care of the animals.
Yeah.
Well, now you have your animals.
Yes.
And they are pit bulls.
No. So Jenna Balto is a black husky and shepherd mix. And Ezra Jean is a Siberian husky with a whole lot of Malamute.
Wow.
Yeah.
Rush.
Oh, he's got this much fur. Yeah.
Well, we don't want to talk grooming, but I'll be more than happy to. They're wonderful, beautiful animals.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll show
that's
you pictures
wonderful.
after.
So you have them, you're here in Woodstock.
Yes.
You're running for office, and this year you're running on yourself.
Yes. So at this point in time, I am running independent. The conversation of a slate has come up. I have not made that decision at this time, but I felt that I wanted to come independent and hear from people how they felt about that. And I believe I've got very strong support. Many people proactively reached out. It's an important job. They have been watching me. Many of them know me, but a whole new people who I know who they are, but we never really interacted before. They reached out, and in one case, I got interviewed for an hour and a half about everything, things that I've done, how I feel about this, what I think about that, and I love it because people they've watched me be consistent, and they just want to make sure that that's going to stay. And so I feel like people at the end of it, they just understand that, like, I'm me. This is what you're gonna get, you know? And that is speaking volumes, you know?
If someone wants to participate in your election,
Yes.
what do they do?
Contact me.
How do they contact you?
They can reach out through Facebook, my personal Facebook page. There are, you know, a lot of folks there. My Facebook elected office page. I think those would be good ways to contact me and just say, hey, I want to participate, and then I'll share my private information. I keep that separate from town business, and so I went to Hannaford the other day, literally bumped into a woman outside, and she knew who I was, and she thanked me for staying in this race, which she views as already nasty. And she, you know, we exchanged phone numbers right there, and she wants to participate in some way, shape, or form to help.
So you do have a list already of people to help you.
Yeah, we're not so organized like what everybody's doing, but there's a strong list of people who want to help, and some people know how they want to help. So they're coming to the table with the means to, like, and a clear vision for what they'd like to do, and maybe invite their friends to. You know, they might know a lot of people. So the rest, I guess, I'm organizing and thinking through and talking to people and getting their input. We'll get it going.
Well, it's very early.
It
you
is.
know.
It is.
But it's never too early.
It's not
to get your list going.
Yeah, and petitions are starting. So already, I'm very proud that some folks are already wanting to help with petitions, and all different ages. This is one of the things that, you know, I am very excited to have young people at the table as well.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
19-year-olds, right, coming to the table, and they feel energized and inspired to go and knock on doors in February and to help anyhow. So I'm proud of the work that I'm doing. I am looking forward to working with people to work very hard to earn the vote from.
And you're working with all ages.
All ages, literally from 19 all the way up.
So right now, very quickly, as in like in a few days, you're going to be having these petitions that people have to go.
Yeah, it's the 24th, 25th of February. I've got to look at the updated calendar. Yeah, so the petitions are going to be, we're going to be starting. That's it.
And do you know how many people you're going to need?
A lot.
Well, what is a lot? 2 dozen? 3 dozen?
Yeah, so the signatures, the final count of required signatures will come out on February 20th. It's going to be a lot. And I think if I have a dozen people who are committed to helping, we'll get this done, and then we can focus on the next part, which is really engaging with people and listening to people.
Well, yeah, then you're knocking on doors. But,
yes.
But you do have to get the petition signed.
That's the first
So
step.
that's the first thing.
Yes.
So if you can get 2 or 3 dozen people to help,
I think even 1 dozen good people, we can get that done. And yeah.
And then now, are you going to have a telephone tree?
Too early to tell.
It's too early.
Yeah, I think right now we're just focused on getting on the petition.
Well, and of course your weekly
Yes.
newsletter,
Yes.
that's huge.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be brand new.
Yes.
You
There's
know,
so much
to
that's
do.
happening.
I've heard of candidates in Woodstock writing letters
Yes.
and sending them out, but I haven't known any that did weekly.
Yeah.
And so I think that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, I think for me, now you can tell me whether it's true or not. I felt when I first met you, and I still feel now, that communication is your strong suit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really feel that way.
Yes. I think it's important.
And so if communication is your strong suit, then newsletters and letters and telephone trees and those kinds of things are extremely important.
Yeah. and the meet and greets and talking to people face to face.
Yeah, all of those
It's
things.
all important to me.
Everything counts.
Yes.
It all does. Well, and so what are some skills that you think you might be looking for? Do you know yet? Is it too early?
I don't think it's too early. I think one of the big things, people who are able to do one of two things: help knock on doors, or drive somebody who can run out and knock on doors. So we have some parts of Woodstock that it's very challenging to drive and figure out where to park and then go knock on the door.
Right.
And then come back.
Right.
And check your list. So a couple of drivers and door knockers, big thing right now.
Yeah.
We start there, and the rest we're going to figure out. Also, I think some positive communication out there, like, hey, this is something that this candidate is working on. This is something that this candidate has done. So people who are good at that type of a thing, I think that's really important as well. So, I think it's going to be about how do we get to people, talk to people, and how do we make it easy to do that?
I've always thought, oh, we're down to 5 minutes. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, listen, how do people get in touch with you? That's all we have left.
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook. Again, Anula Courtis, elected office. I think there's only one Anula Courtis on Facebook. So you will find me, and you'll probably see a picture of at least one of my dogs there.
Wonderful. Yeah. And so, are you taking donations of money at all?
Not at this time. I want to get on the ballot first, and then I will be asking for people who might feel that they can offer financial help for that help.
I think that's a very wise thing to do.
Thank you.
I really do. Yeah. And listen, thank you so much, Ellen.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you. We really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Good evening.